guys, mayong adlaw. Sa kini nga video, ako i-discuss ninyo ang inverse sa one-to-one function. Sumpay ni siya sa previous na ko nga video about definition of a one-to-one function. Sa previous nga video, nag-define ta kung unsa ang one-to-one function. So karon, atong pangitaon kung unsay inverse sa one-to-one function. So ato sang i-define kung unsa ang one-to-one function. So to start, ari sa ta sa mga objectives. So, kinahanglan ini human ani nga video, kinahanglan makahibaw mo pag-define kung unsa ang inverse function. So you should be able to define an inverse function. Number 2, validates if two functions are inverses. Kung ang usa ka function inverse ba sa another nga function. Number 3, you should be able to determine the inverse of a one-to-one function. Keeping a topic requires us to have a prior knowledge on the definition, of course, of a one-to-one function o ikaduha, kinahanglan makaibaw ta on how to do the composition of functions. So pagsugod, atong i-review kung unsa ang one-to-one function. Nag-discuss na ta kung unsa ang one-to-one function. A function is one-to-one if no element in the domain and has the same element in the range. So meaning, na ay domain, na isa ka domain, kinahanglan usar ang iyang pares ngadto sa range. Meaning, ang range, kung ang value sa y, dili magbalik-balik. So in other words, kung naa kay usa ka value sa y, kini nga y naa ni usa ka pares sa value sa x. So meaning, usa-usa ra gyud ang iyang pares. Okay. Unsa man, how do we define an inverse function? To define an inverse function, kung ang f o ang g are functions, if f and g are functions, then we can validate na kaning f and g are inverses if the composition of f and g is equal to x, unya ang composition sa g of f is also equal to x. So meaning, bali-bali siya. Meaning, kung ang composition sa g of f equal ganita to x, kung ang composition sa g and f is equal to x, meaning they are inverses. Kung dili ganit na equal to x, that means dili na sila inverses. So, let us not dwell so much on the technicalities of this definition. Let's proceed to the examples. So, arita sa example 1. For example, you want to validate that the function f is an inverse of this function. For example, given ka aning function f of x equals negative 2x plus 3. Kunyang imong g is negative x plus 3 over 2. Then, i-validate din mong duha kung kaning f, ang inverse ani niya is ang g, or kung kaning g, ang inverse ani niya kay kaning f. So, to validate that these two functions are inverses, so ato ni pangitaon ang ilang mga composition. So, arita sa solution. So, for example, first, so bali-bali. So, first, we will find the composition of the function f and g. How to find the composition of the functions f and g? So, arita sa unang function. Ang atong first function is f. So, what we need to do is to write first the first function, which is negative 2x plus 3. So, mao ni atong first function. Ang next step is kaning function g, which is negative x plus 3 over 2, kinahanglan i-substitute nato diri sa x. So, kining x atong ilisan sa negative x plus 3 over 2. So, the resulting equation now becomes the negative 2 here, kining negative 2, we copy the negative 2 here. Then, instead of writing x, kaning nga x, ato na siyang ilisdan sa function niya g. So, this is our function g. So, ilisan na to ang x, so that becomes negative x plus 3 over 2. Then, we simply copy positive 3. Niguman, you have two choices here na kay duha ka paagi. We can cancel out the negative 2 and the positive 2 here. So, negative 2 divided by positive 2 is negative 1. Then, i-multiply na yung negative 1 nga rin. Or, we will multiply the negative 2 diri sa sud sa parenthesis. Mahimong negative 2 times negative x, mahimo na siyang positive 2x then negative 2 times the positive 3, that becomes negative 6. Then, naaman na siya assume denominator 1 dire, so that is 1 times 2 is equal to 2. Then, we simply copy 3. Then, i-simplify na to. 2x divided by 2 is x. Then, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So, the resulting equation becomes x minus 3 plus 3. So, asa man gikan ang x minus 3? Gikan ni dire. So, 2x divided by 2 is x. Then, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Human, pwede na ito i-cancel out ang negative 3 plus 3. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0 or cancelled out. So, ang maitabuan ni ang composition sa f and g is equal to x. So, nabili na ito ani is x. This time, we will find the composition of g and f. So this time, ato pangitaon ang composition sa function g and f. So, this karon instead of f ang gauna ganina, karon ang mag-una na ang g. So, ang atong g is negative x plus 3. So, negative x plus 3 over 2, mo ni atong g. Now, atong f, which is negative 2x plus 3, mo ni atong i-ili sa x diri. So, meaning, kining negative ang pabili na. So, we have here the negative, the x here, ilisan sa function niya, negative 2x plus 3, then copy plus 3, copy over 2. Now, this time, we have the negative outside the parenthesis. Ato nang i-multiply to the terms inside the parenthesis. So, this becomes negative x times negative 2x, that becomes positive 2x. Then, negative times the positive 3, that becomes negative 3. Then, copy na lang ang positive 3. Human, negative 3 plus negative 3 is 0, or we can cancel that out. So, ang mabilin is 2x over 2, which is 2x over 2, then pwede na natin makancel out ang 2 ug 2. So, ang habilin would be the x. So, the composition of the functions f and g is x, and the composition of the functions g and f is also x for these functions. So, we can conclude that these functions f and g are inverses. So, these two functions are inverses. So, let's proceed to the next example. For example, we want to validate if the function f of x equals x plus 1 over 2 is an inverse of the function 2x minus 1. So, we'll try to validate if these two functions are inverses. So, the same process ganina. We will find first the composition of the functions f and g. So, una, write the first function f, which is x plus 1. This is our f, x plus 1. And we will substitute to x here, kini nga x, ilisan nato sa function nga g, which is 2x minus 1. So, we can have this equation. Instead of writing x, atong giilisan ng x sa g, which is 2x minus 1. Then we copy plus 1, then over 2. Then naman, since negative 1 man plus 1, so we can cancel that out, for that is 0. So, ang habilin is 2x over 2. Then, cancel na po ang 2. So, ang habilin kay x. So, the composition of f and g is equal to x. Now, we will do the reverse. We will find the composition of the functions g and f. This time, we have g and so, meaning, unahon na to ang 2x minus 1. So, our g is 2x minus 1. Gikan aning 2x minus 1, atong i-substitute ang function ni f of x, which is x plus 1 over 2. So, 2 times x minus 1. So, ilisan na nato x plus 1 over 2 ang x dira. So, mahitabuan ni kay, we copy the 2 kani. Then, instead of writing x ani, ato na siyang ilisan sa function nga f, which is x plus 1 over 2. Then, copy gyapon ang negative 1. This time, we have the 2 here and 2, so pwede na ito makancel out ang 2 ug 2. So, mahabilin na ni would be x plus 1 sa numerator, then copy minus 1. So, 1 minus 1 is 0, so cancel out. So, what remains is x. So, therefore, these functions f and g are inverses. Okay? Now, how do we find the inverse of a given function? So, lahi na sa siya. Kung saan mo ito pagpangita, kung matalang kang function, pangitaon na ito ang inverse. Ganina, atong i-validate kung ang function niya f o ang function niya g, bali-bali sila, inverses sila. Karon, atong pangitaon, how do we find the inverse of a given function? So, natay step nga sundon. So, number one, first step, we need to change the notation, kini nga notation of x to y. Okay? Katong gihatag ng function kay in the rotation f of x. So, ang kanang rotation f of x, ilisa na to sa y. Then sunod, interchange the variables x and y. So, ilis na to ang variable x of y. Then number 3, we need to solve for y in terms of x. And number 4, we need to write the function in the notation f inverse of x. So, ang pagbasa ni kay f inverse of x. So, let's proceed to the example. For example, hatagan ka ni nga function. F of x equals 7 plus 3. Then, pagitaon mo ang inverse ani. So, how do we find the inverse of 7 plus 3x? So, again, we follow the steps. Atong ilisan ang notation nga f of x to y. So, instead of writing f of x, ilisan ang atong y. So, ang resulting equation ni y equals 7 plus 3x. First step. Ikaduhang step, atong i-interchange ang variable nga y ug x. So, ang y becomes x, nya ang x becomes y. So, may tabo yun, ani na ang equation. X equals 7 plus 3y. This time, atong i-solve ang y in terms of x. So, since naman tayo 7 diri, kinahanglan y ay mabilin diri. So, naman tayo 7, we will use subtraction property. So, inig-minus na to diri og 7. So, this becomes 0. So, makabilin diri sa right side will be 3x. Since nag-minus man ta diri 7, mabalance ang imong equation, mag-minus sa sa pikas og 7. So, meaning, ang mahitabuan ni, magpabilin ang x. So, x minus 7 equals 3y. So, nawagtang na ang 7, kaya nabagi na diri, kaya nag-minus naman ta og 7. Afterwards, naamo kay 3 diha, i-divide na to both of the equations by 3 aron matangtang ang coefficient sa y diri nga 3. So mag-divide man ta diri, mag-divide sa dira. By this time, we can cancel out the 3 here. So meaning, ang mahabilin diri would be the y. So pwede na to ibali, may maning y equals x minus 7. So, ang last step is to change the y to the notation f inverse of x. So, the final answer would be, this is ang pagbasa ni kay f inverse of x. So, f inverse of x equals x minus 7 over 3. So, meaning this indicates that this function is the inverse of this function. So, kini siya nga function, bali aning function. Okay? So that is how to find the inverse of a given function. So now, let's proceed to example number 4. For example, hatagan ka ani nga function. F of x equals x plus 1 over x minus 3. So, atong pangitaon ang inverse ani nga function. So, the same step, we follow the same step. F of x, ilisan sa y. So, the equation becomes y equals x plus 1 over x minus 3. Karon, we will interchange the variable y and x. So, y becomes x and x becomes y. So, may tabo ang x diri, mahimo na siyang y. Next is to solve for y in terms of x. Since fraction man then kining x assume to have denominator 1 man na siya, pwede na to i-cross multiply. So when we cross multiply, that becomes kining x, this is the x, then multiply to the denominator here, y minus 3. Then assume denominator 1 multiplied to y plus 1, so that gives us y plus 1. Then we distribute x, that is sa y minus 3. So x times y, that is xy. Then x times negative 3 is negative 3x. Then we copy y plus 1. The same gyapon, kinahanglan atong tapukon ang atong variable nga y ari sa left side o ang variable nga x ari sa right side. then ang constant nimo ari gyapon sa right side. So aron mabalhin ni ang y dira, atong magamit ta og subtraction property. Kini sad aron mabalhin ni ang 3x diri, atong gamitan og addition property. So mahitabo, this becomes, we copy the xy, kini nga xy, then nag-subtraction property man ta diri, makancel ni siya, so mag-minus ta dira, so mahimo ning minus y equals. The 3x here, nag-addition property man ta, pag abot diri, mahimo na siyang positive 3x niya, copy na nato ang 1. Afterwards, mauna ni ang resulting equation, human, we factor out, we have the xy here minus y. So, naatay duha ka y common, ato ni factor out ang y, ang mahabilin would be x minus 1. So, xy man ni, i-factor out ang y, nahabilin is x, we copy minus. Kay y man ni, yeah, yung pagawas ang y, nahabilin kay 1. Okay, 1 times y, y man mabilin. So that is 3x, we copy 3x plus 1. Afterwards, aron y na lang mabiling dira, we will divide both sides of the equation by x minus 1. So may tabo, y times x minus 1 over x minus 1 equals 3x plus 1 over x minus 1. Human, pwede na ito makancel out. So ang mabilin, change y, kay y na lang mabiling diri, change balik sa f inverse of x. So may tabo, 3x plus 1 over x minus 1. So, f inverse of x is equal to 3x plus 1 over x minus 1. So, mo ni siya inverse sa ani nga function nga f. Okay, next example, last example. For example, we are told to find the inverse of this function. F of x equals 1 over 2x plus 1. So, f of x ilisan og y. So we have here y equals 1 over 2x plus 1. So afterwards, we need to interchange the variables x and y. Kini nga y mahimo ning x, nya kini nga x mahimo ning y. So this becomes x equals 1 over 2x plus 1. Human, assume denominator 1, solve for y in terms of x, we cross multiply. So x times 2y is 2xy, then x times 1 is x. Then naman assume denominator 1 diha, 1 times 1 equals 1. So, kinahanglan ang mabiling diri kay y. So naman atong y dira. So what we need to do here is we use subtraction property of equality. So this becomes 2xy equals 1 minus x by subtraction property of equality. Aron matangtang ni ang atong 2x diri, aron y na lang mabilin, we need to divide both sides of the equation by 2x. So by this time, we can cancel out the 2x. So what remains here is y equals 1 minus x over 2x. Karon, write y, f inverse of x equals 1 minus x over 2x. Okay, that's it. I hope na may nakatunan ani nga video. So before I go, I want to leave this with you. If you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. That's by David Parra. So hopefully you have learned something. Thank you and God bless.